Hi pals, it's me Artie, they them pronouns only. It's finally time for me to complain about Strictly Come Dancing. So we're near the end of Strictly for this year, and usually it's one of the few reality TV shows that I can rely on to have a good time, to enjoy myself, get ready for the holiday season. This year, I always have issues with everything I watch. We know this. we know here. Nothing can be perfect, and especially not for everybody who watches. I often still enjoy watching things that I have issues with or I think are flawed, but the last few years I feel like Strictly has progressively gotten worse in a few different areas. I'm going to start with the most obvious point. Strictly is meant to be for people with little to no dance experience. This year we've had a few people with definitely more experience than really should be allowed on this show. We've had Tasha, who has had actually seemingly years of ballet dance experience. JB literally was in a dance competition with his wife and they got 3rd place. And then also Jamie did the Strictly Christmas special the previous year and won. I know the Christmas special is more for fun than anything else, but you know, it just, what's the point? What's the point? Whilst the first two, you know, may not have had the experience with these particular dances, they have had actual dance training and preparing for competitions or performances. Also, Tasha is deaf, but has already had many years of learning coping mechanisms and getting them in place for herself, whereas Rose didn't have that when she performed on Strictly a few years ago, and Chris hasn't had that this year. And I just feel like we've lost many brilliant dancers who genuinely came from little to no dance background, like Montell. I think Montell was absolutely impeccable, beautiful, incredible. I think that her and Johannes had just such a beautiful symmetry. They're both very tall, very athletic, and yeah, I feel like Johannes was teaching Montell his own style, and I think that they were really such a beautiful pairing, and she'd come so far. We've seen such vast improvement from her, and she genuinely had no dance experience before this, but she's gone. She's gone. I also have to say the judges are getting on my nerves. One in particular, but all of them are getting on my nerves a little bit. Shirley's been getting on my nerves more and more each year. I think she's hard on couples that don't deserve it, and who are doing really well. She clearly has favourites that she doesn't even try to pretend that she is impartial, and marks them up and ignores her own rules about how she marks people. One of the big ones is a mistake equals being docked a point. Last year she marked the winner really highly, even though they did make mistakes, but made a massive mistake. She literally fell off of Vito's shoulders in that lift, and they didn't dock her for it. Yeah, that is a risky move, but I don't think you should get points if you've not been able to pull off the lift. And then she also pervs on some of the men competing in the competition, the celebrities. This year it was Pete. Shirley, what? Have you thought about what is coming out of your mouth before you're saying it? You're on television. Genuinely, shut your mouth. I have been seeing as well, viewers also have been noticing this and making a fair point of none of the men who have been judges, past or present, would ever get away with making comments like that, whether it was about, whether they were a straight judge commenting on women celebrities participating, or whether it's been one of our numerous gay men judges commenting on men. Like, neither of those people would get away with making comments that Shirley's been making. And I also don't think Motzi would be able to get away with them. She does make some like vaguely, like more vague comments that are more to do with like the dance. Like this last weekend she commented on how Pete and Yavita's dance was hot. She wasn't saying Pete was hot, she was saying the dance and their chemistry was hot. That was also a really great example of them like just absolute bullshitting away. Craig was so right in saying that there was no technique in that dance. But Shirley said it's the best dance of the night, and then didn't even mark it a 10 anyway. Like, if you're going to say something's the best dance of the night, you should be marking it a 10. I also find that she generally ignores like illegal lifts in certain dances that are not supposed to have any lifts. When it's her favourite couples, they only focus on how good those lifts were, when the rest of the dance was quite naff overall and didn't actually have much technique. She's like the person who's, you know, technique, all about the preciseness of like your feet. But then it seems to be as soon as it comes to someone that is clearly her favourite, she's not really interested in actually commenting on those things. And like, I know this next one is supposed to be like funny, haha, a little joke between everybody, but like, I've been finding it more and more irritating generally. I've been noticing that Shirley is picking fights with Craig a lot more during like the judging section where they're giving feedback, to the point that often Craig isn't even able to finish what he's saying because Shirley has just sort of like shouted her way into it. And like I said, I know it's probably supposed to be like all funny haha, and there probably isn't any drama between the two of them, but I just don't appreciate it as a viewer. I don't feel like that shows respect to your fellow judges. A lot of the times I agree with Craig with a lot of these things. He is one of the more critical judges. He's harder to impress, even though he doesn't necessarily personally have like a professional dance background in the same way the rest of the judges do. He does know his stuff, and he does know performance, he does know dance, and like at least 99.9% of the time he's like sticking with his guns. He doesn't like say one thing and then change his mind depending on who it is. He's just honest and sees everybody on that level playing field. Whereas I feel like Shirley in particular, but sometimes other judges, tend to have a favourite and treat them differently. And it's really irritating. Another one that's also generally for the judges overall is that quite a few of them, or quite a lot of the time, especially this season, they'll say one thing and then score differently to what they've said. Especially with Chris this year, they rarely have feedback for him. Like, the feedback initially was mostly to do with like his posture and maybe with his facial expressions and things like that, but like besides that, they have had no feedback for him, but continually score him around 7-8. It's very rare for him to get any scores above that, but they don't give feedback. Like, if you want him to actually improve, why aren't you providing any other pieces of feedback for him and Dianne to work on? Like, what is it? Is he perfect and he's for all 10s and there's nothing to improve on anymore? Or like all like 9s because it's occasionally a little bit here or there? Or has he got things to work on and it's just getting on my nerves? I also have this question. I think I noticed it a little bit last year, but it's been very present this year as well. Have they cut the budget for their crew? Like, particularly the technical crew? I have been noticing there have been issues with the microphones and the cameras, like majority of the time. It seems like the people in charge of the cameras or the cameras and the mics are like asleep or something. They're sort of like not really paying attention at work, and it's been a mess, babe. What the fuck? We're constantly hearing people heavy breathing when other people are talking. Like, shut the fucking mic off. I don't want to hear them heavy breathing. Like, Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And it's never been this bad until like this year and a bit last year. And then sometimes as well, people are talking and it's almost like their mic isn't on and their voice is being picked up by like a mic of somebody near them instead. Or like their mics are just broken. Obviously there are sometimes things happen. We've seen in the past with Strictly people's like mic setups are just completely like flown off mid-dance or whatever. But that's very different to like what seems to be going on at the moment. And then when it comes to the camera, like the camera crew, I don't know whether it's the people actually controlling the cameras or the people who are sort of controlling what camera is showing, you know, streaming to the TV, to the live audience, but like they're kind of just like stumbling around, they're bumping into things, they're not facing the right way, like sometimes they're looking at the floor, sometimes they're in such a poor angle for the dancers on the dance floor that you can't actually really see anything that you actually want to see. The amount of times where they've just like managed to not show us any feet when it has been like one of the very technical dances, and especially like a particularly feet technical heavy part of the dance, half the time we're looking up here and I'm like, why are we looking? I want to see more. And then sometimes we're just looking at the floor and have kind of got their feet. Like there's been some really strange things happening with the camera framing, and I don't know what is going on. And like sometimes it feels like they've forgotten that they were working, and then a little bit late they've realized they're the camera on air and sort of like jerk to life to try and catch up to where they should be. And it's like, hello, what's going on? Do you not have enough crew? Are they not being paid well enough to give a shit about this show? Like what are they doing? I always moan about their music choices. I don't know who makes these choices. I did hear Chris say this weekend that they asked for a list of every celebrity's like favourite songs so they can incorporate some of them into the performances that they do in the season. But like, surely nobody's picking some of these songs. Surely nobody is picking some of these songs. The last couple of years, I feel like some of the songs are also just not suited to their professional in-house singers. These people are obviously highly trained, highly talented singers, and like how Strictly manages to pick songs that they can't even sing well. Sometimes they sound awful. Like, I don't know, it's picking these songs for their sake. Being an in-house singer usually means that you're very good at being able to sing a range of genres, a range of ranges, pitches, whatever. Like you are a moldable singer, basically. You are trying to recreate these songs for a live audience. So I don't know how they are managing to choose songs that these singers can't actually even accomplish well. But also when it comes to picking the songs, they choose ones that just do not suit the style of the dance that they are doing. This usually happens to pairings who aren't judge favourites for a start. They always end up being set up with, they used to be set up with the worst costuming for a start. That doesn't happen quite so much anymore, but like they are still getting set up with the worst song choices for their dances they have to do that week. A lot of the times it can be just the complete wrong tone for the dance. Like Paso Dobles and Argentine tangos are usually the main ones that end up with a song that just does not fit the dramatic style that those two dances have. So it just doesn't give the same kind of impact as if it had a decent song behind it. It also happens with Charlestons too, that sometimes they end up being given music that has too slow of a beat to really dance a Charleston to. So then you're watching them dance a slow Charleston, which is not only just kind of weird to look at as well because it does feel laboured anyway, but it's also harder to dance because those movements are meant to be faster, energetic, bouncy, and have have the momentum for some of their like fun lifts and tricks. And when they have a slower song, like I feel like that happened with Chris this last week, they had a song that was a little bit too slow for their Charleston. It just kind of looked a little bit, yeah, laboured is the only word I can really stand by with that. I also feel like they reuse a lot of songs, and they're always really naff songs. We have so many songs in the world. Maybe pick some new ones. Please give us something a bit different to try and dance to, or like watching people dance to. Like, I'm just really over the reusing of boring like old songs. And then also on this point, a little bit of this in the costuming related to judges, a lot of the times some of the judges make criticisms about the costuming or the choreography or the music's impact on the dance, as if that was the fault of the person competing. It's like, if you've got a fucking problem with that, then you should be doing something about it. Yeah, I agree with you, but it's not their fault. They're just doing their best with what they fucking got. Sometimes they just have a crappy partner who's not very good at choreographing, or when they have to get a choreographer because they're like more specialized in a particular style of dance than the professional they're working with, maybe they're not that good. Like, yeah, so like that's another one. Judges, I'm over you guys making criticisms about things that are literally nothing to do with the contestant. However, I do sometimes agree that they should criticize choreography. Like I said earlier with Pete's, whatever it was, I can't remember which dance, but the flicky legs ones, he didn't do any flicky legs. And like, unfortunately, that's like the fucking point. Like, there's a difference between something I would go and watch and enjoy if I was just going to go see a professional show versus what you should be doing in a dance competition. And those professionals should know that. And if anything, I kind of think that if the professionals are not doing a good enough job of choreographing the dances to include like enough technical steps, they should be demoted. They should get back to the waiting area and just be the little like side dancers who are like also just standing around every Saturday, you know. Like, sorry, but if you're not doing what you should be doing to compete in a dance competition, then get to the bag. Somebody else will do it. Because honestly, like, Yavita can sometimes be a really great choreographer. However, she often does rely on lifts because she's tiny. There are other people who I think are better choreographers all round, to be honest. Like, any of the people who were left out this season would have done a better job, in my opinion. I mean, like, I know Kai and Carlos didn't have partners this year, and I think they're both really great dancers and choreographers. I mean, Lauren wasn't with a partner until Amy got an injury. Like, there were options. Other people could step in real quick. Like, I'm like, sorry. If you're not doing your job, you're fired. And now on to like my final point, which is one that I have debated on whether I wanted to just make a separate video on entirely on its own, but I thought it would fit quite well into this video because I feel like there are more than just this that have been bothering me, as I've clearly just shown you all. I'm sure there's more things as well than what I've written anyway, but like, this is what I was writing as I was watching yesterday. And the last point I have is just like, what happened to the same gender couples? What happened to the same gender couples? We've had a lack of a celebrity pairing this year, and we've also had quite a lack in the group and professional dances this year. I think it's been like 4 or more years of having like a same gender dancing couple with like as a celebrity competing. Like, we've had it for at least 4, maybe 5 years. Why is it suddenly gone? Is that because of the stuff with some of your now ex-professionals? Had enough controversy in the tabloids that you're now not ready to defend queer dancing? can't be asked. You know, 20-year anniversary of Strictly, can't be asked for the gays, even though performing arts and dance is full of them. And then, yeah, like I said, the group dances with the professionals just haven't been anywhere near as queer as they have been over the last 4 or 5 years. I think they even started incorporating same gender dances with the professionals before they actually started having competing celebrity couples. And like we were having dances that were quite explicitly showing queer love stories. We had a really beautiful dance between Johannes and Kai, which was very like old-timey. God knows, Regency era maybe, I have no idea, mate, not a clue. But you know, we had this beautiful historic romance kind of vibe between those two dancing, and we had this gorgeous, very Heartstopper-esque dance on like a roof with Vito and Nikita. And like, we've definitely had sapphic dances too, I just can't currently think of them, but like, don't worry, I will include some like examples when I can use my brain a bit more, because right now it's just not happening. But like, we've had all of these really gorgeous same gender dances by the professionals that were like quite explicitly romance stories. This year, the first we got was I can't remember which week it was, but it was one of the earlier weeks, and it was just Craig, the big gay villain, when it was the judges doing their dance. And like, I know that Craig often plays queer-coded villains in his professional life, so I'm sure he doesn't care or doesn't mind doing that. And like, I don't think you should completely eliminate bad queer or marginalised characters, but it was just interesting that that was the first we've had this year, was, oh, gay villain. Look at this evil gay. Evil. And then after that, I don't think we had anything until Johannes was emulating Beyonce, which, yes, is very like queer culture vibes. And he was, I believe, in massive boots again. And he is touring as in kinky boots this coming year. Also, Johannes, why did you decide to not perform in Brighton? Because I wanted to watch you in kinky boots. I've never seen kinky boots, and I was like, wow, it's going on in Brighton, except you're not going to be performing. So I didn't buy tickets because I wanted to see you perform as kinky boots. So why do you hate me? Why do you hate Brighton? So upset by that. But yeah, so like, yeah, it was very like queer culture vibes, but there was no explicit romantic storyline, and he is a gay man emulating a straight woman. So like, whilst he was incredible for sure, it just wasn't the same vibe. It's almost like this year the gays are banned from having love. I don't know. And then the only other thing that we've had so far, like the closest possible example, well, even then I wouldn't call it romantic at all, but like the first same gender dancing we've really had this year was when the professionals had another professional dancing group come dance with them, and the professionals would be paired up with one of these other dancers to sort of like dance around / with each other. I can't remember if there were 2 women. I don't think there were 2 women paired, but there was Nikita paired with one of the men from the other group. And like, whilst the style of dance was very interesting and experimental, I would not necessarily call that like explicitly queer. I recorded this video Sunday during the daytime, so since recording that, we did have one tiny morsel of a same gender explicitly romantic professionals dance. It was one couple of 3, but it was still there. So
obviously had to include it. However, it's very hard finding photos or even the videos, like the footage on YouTube of these dances. I have started compiling a playlist of all of the same gender and also just generally queer culture dances that have been on the show, both professionals and with the competing celebrities, so that will be linked. And if there's any videos you find that I've missed, leave a comment under this video with the link so I can add that to the master playlist, because I am actually a bit shocked that playlist doesn't exist. I was looking for one. I was like, surely there's a playlist of all of the same gender dances at the very least, like same-sex dances. No, couldn't find one anywhere, so I made one. You're welcome.
And I mean, like, the last few years they were also doing it just so casually that even the people who weren't the main focus of the group dances, even if they weren't a same gender couple, there were plenty of same gender couples dancing together around, and it was just really normal. Whereas this year it's just been none. It was that once, nothing else. And I'm just really annoyed by that, because, you know, for one, Strictly has always kind of been the show to defend queer people, because, like I said, performing arts dance is fucking gay. Everyone's gay here. If you ain't gay, you're weird. You're the odd one out if you ain't gay. And as well, it's been one of the few shows that really does represent disability, and it's one of the few shows where disabled people are actually liked and supported. Chris has come really far, even though his scores haven't been particularly great. And I do feel like a lot of the times the disabled participants are at least well supported by the audience. And I feel like it's relatively similar with queer couples too. There's usually a minority who are like,
nah, none of this gay shit. Get the gays out of here.
And you're like, go away. You're like literally 1%, if not less, of the audience who gives a shit about that. Everyone else is either very chill or like excited. And like, I was hoping that we would start moving into actually involving trans people, but no, sorry, we actually reverse, take it back. Sorry, we're actually going no gays.
Also, a quick side note, I found that Dancing with the Stars Ireland actually beat the UK's Strictly Come Dancing to doing same-sex / same-gender Celebrity Pro performances. So if that tells you anything, you're welcome. Also, it was still Kai. So maybe Kai is bringing the gay energy.
So like, those are my main points with this video. I would also like to just briefly discuss Chris and Dianne as a couple dancing, because I genuinely am so amazed by them. The big thing with them is, you know, Chris has never danced. He has never had any training. He's never even watched any of these dances before he became blind. He now identifies as completely blind and can't see anything. And I say that because there are levels. There's like a spectrum. It's not as simple as seeing and not seeing, okay? You know, so he has had no frame of reference for what his body should be doing. And he is just like, I'm really just so impressed by him in general. His timing is immaculate, and that is something that's always complimented by the judges. And I really have to agree, like, his timing is fantastic, but he also has so much trust in Dianne, and she has so much trust in him to be in the right place at the right time to do some of the more risky moves. And like, I just think what they have managed to achieve is incredible. And as well, like, I really have to give Dianne, like, I have to give her flowers. And she said it in this last weekend as well, like, he has not had the same opportunities that the other contestants have had. They can't watch footage back, like she said. He can't look in a mirror. He can't watch what someone's doing and then try to replicate it. It has all been done entirely differently, and most likely more tactfully. Is that how you're supposed to use the word tactfully? And like, I would love to see more of what their training is like, because I'm just so interested to know what it is that's working. Like, what is it that Dianne has been doing? Has she had support in how to adapt her coaching and teaching to a blind person? Did she come up with it herself? Has it been trial and error? You know, I just want to know. I want to see what it is they've been doing, because I also genuinely think he's got some of the best feet in the competition. I often find that a lot of people don't, you know, fully point their toes, and that's one of the things Shelley's always saying. Oh, or Shelley and Anton as well. Oh, you got the fleckle and all, you know, the more complex and really beautiful movements and steps that other participants just haven't been doing, or haven't been doing as well as him. Which is more reason why I'm so annoyed that when they compliment him to high heaven, they still mark him down, but don't explain why. But yeah, I mean, I understand as well, he seems to be the general favourite to win. He's clearly got a lot of support from the audience watching. I love watching him, and I just don't think he's been like appreciated enough by most of the judges, to be honest. And he deserves more. And I like now as well that Montell's not in, and I found out that JB actually has more professional dance experience than I thought. I'm definitely rooting for Chris with Sarah as a runner-up, because everyone else, well, yeah, the other two, JB and Tasha, both have professional dance training. But yeah, after Montell went and I found out that JB has got professional dance experience, I just decided it was time that I had to make my video complaining about Strictly as well. Because like this year there's been weird vibes, especially at the very start of this season was so funny because of all the controversy that has been going on with particularly Giovanni, but also I can't remember the other one's name because he barely ever got a partner, and if he did, he didn't go very far. I think it began with a G as well, but I can't remember. Either way, both of them having terrible controversies and complaints against them. The start of this season, everybody was very like, everyone's so nice, everyone's really lovely, everyone's so nice, it's so nice here, everyone's really nice to you. And it was like a really heavy like really heavy-handed, it just gave weird vibes, honestly. So yeah, I just had to moan, because this is one of the few shows that I do really like watching every year. I love watching people dance. I love watching people learning to dance on the show in particular. You know, that's what I watch this show for. I watch this show to see people improve every week and push their boundaries and continue to try new things. I don't watch this for people who already know how to fucking dance and they're just learning a different type of dance. Like, if I wanted to watch professional dancers, I could literally just go and watch any of their tours that they do, because every year someone or a few of them are doing their tours, and every year they do like a Strictly tour. So if I wanted to watch professional dancers, I would just go watch professional dancers.
Just to quickly brag, I did see Johannes's tour. I can't remember if that was this year just gone or last year, because time is fake. And next year I'm seeing Kai's tour, so slay. I am really upset I didn't get to see Nikita and Leighton though, because I really would have liked to have seen them perform together live. But yeah, we'll see. Also, Nikita's tour next year is like way more expensive than a lot of other people's tours have been. So anyway, Nikita, tell your venues to cut the prices a bit, please, because it's a lot of money, thanks.
That is not what Strictly is for. And I think a lot of people are, getting a bit pissed off this year because it's just giving some weird vibes all round. And I think they need to sort it out. Sort it out. Had enough. Anyway, so that was my video this week. Very different tone to last week. Am I okay? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to carry on, trying to rest and get better, but I feel awful most of the time. And yeah, so I wanted to make a less serious video of me just complaining about media related things. And then I have one more video before the year ends, and I go and have like a little break. away from making things and posting every week. I'm not sure how long my break will be, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, there's another video next week. This is my video for this week. I'll see you next week. Bye.